All of us who love horror and all things spooky, we were either introduced to it by our family or our friends. Well, for me, it was the first two horror films I saw as a child. The 1915 silent film The Golem and John Barrymore's Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde. Oh, he's a handsome fella, isn't he? Oh, look at that. Oh, he just wants a drink. Oh, the Golem, he kind of looks like one of the Marge's sisters.
Hey man, what's a golem?
A golem is a creature formed out of clay or some dirt, some sort of earth, and then is brought to life through a ritualistic incantation, through Hebrew letters written down on notes.
Okay, got it. So it's a little pale-skinned hobbit dude looking for his precious.
You mean his dog. But I digress. A lot of people were introduced to horror movies through creature feature type shows in the 80s and 90s on their local affiliate stations. And a popular movie on rotation back then was the 1948 classic Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. It also featured yours truly as the Invisible Man. The Abbott and Costello film is a great introduction into classic monster movies. I mean, decades before Marvel had its cinematic universe. The classic Universal monsters were appearing in each other's films all of the time. And Abbott and Costello features all three big baddies. Dracula, played to perfection by Bela Lugosi. Technically, Bela had only played Dracula twice, the first being in the original Dracula film in 1931, and this film being the second. He did appear as a vampire in two other films, but he was not Dracula. And then we have Lon Chaney Jr. returning as the tortured soul, Lawrence Talbot, a.k.a. the Wolfman. And rounding out the trio was Glenn Strange as Frankenstein's monster. Now, this was Glenn Strange's third appearance as the monster, as he had just played the creature in the House of Dracula and the House of Frankenstein. So as you can see, Universal saw that putting these monsters together in films equaled money at the box office. But unlike today's movie studios, the production companies back then spent less and less money on their sequels, trying to squeeze all of the profit they could. But the classic monsters here in America would see a drop-off in the box office, and ultimately, Universal Studios by the 50s would favor space aliens and atomic age monsters over the classic trio. Now, with that being said, over in England, they were doing their own take on these classic misunderstood villains in the Hammer horror films. But that's a video for another time. Here's hoping Universal can pick up the pieces from its failed attempt at resurrecting these monsters with the launch of the Dark Universe. Hopefully they realize they don't need to reinvent the monsters, but rather using the source materials as a launching point, embrace the past to create a horrific future where Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman can haunt people's dreams again. Until next time, happy nightmares.